buses here, now they can start. Oh, you got the last of the chicken, all right.
All right, good evening, everybody. Out on Facebook land, welcome to our Tuesday night Bible study. Tonight we're continuing in the book of Ecclesiastes. So tonight we're going to be looking at chapter 2. And give me a second here. I had some computer problems, but it seems like it's up and running again. Let's see. Well, let's move on to the next slide. So, any questions from last week? We didn't have no questions from last week. Let's see. So last week we talked a little bit about just a little background on Solomon. Let me go back up a slide. He was the son of David and Bathsheba. He was offered the kingdom at a young age. They believe around 18 years of age, and Josephus believed it was as young as 14. So we'll split hairs and say he's about 16. So he was very young when he inherited a large kingdom from his father David, King David. The Lord appeared to him one night. That's a tithing, double tithing.
Yeah, really.
So he was offered a wish, and David said he could have asked anything. Kill my enemies, get rid of my enemies, make me rich, make me famous, make me powerful. But he said, give me wisdom to rule your people. So that pleased the Lord very much, and he says, you've asked wisely, so I'll give you that, and wisdom, riches. You'll have peace during your time of reign. So he gave him a lot more than he had asked for. He knew the word, but eventually David became king, and he made alliances with who? What was the first nation he made an alliance with? Egypt, that's right. And a couple hundred years before that, or maybe a couple thousand years before that, maybe 1,000 years before, where had they just escaped? From Egypt, yeah. And what was going on in Egypt? What were the 10 plagues in Egypt? But what were they? Judgment on what?
Gods.
Yeah, the Egyptian gods. So why would David ask for wisdom, get wisdom, and then he'd make an alliance with Egypt and invite that culture into Israel?
One of his wives.
What's that?
One of his wives.
Wives, yeah. I think you'll see a common theme here tonight. Starts with S and ends with X. Let's see. So, all right, no questions from last week. Let's see. We will. They received the word. We know this from Acts 17:11. They received the word with all readiness and read and search the scriptures daily to find out whether these things were so. And we just changed it around a little bit. Acts 11:17. Now those at Mishkan Hashofar were more noble-minded than those in the other churches, for they received the teaching with great eagerness, examining the scriptures weekly to see whether these things were so. See? Some sound bites from last week. Oops, I didn't fix this slide. Let me go there. Okay, so the word Ecclesiastes came from the Septuagint. In Greek, it's with a K instead of a C, Ecclesiastes. And in Hebrew, it's, who can pronounce it? Kohelet, correct. Question. What is the believed order in which the books penned by Solomon were written? So, first of all, what are they in the Bible? What's the order? Psalms was David. I'm talking about Solomon. What's the order in the Bible? Proverbs? No, it's Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Solomon. They believe it was written Proverbs first. He was given wisdom at a young age. Then Song of Solomon, and then Ecclesiastes. So let's see. So we said Proverbs, Song of Solomon, and Ecclesiastes.
First he was wise, then he was in love, then everything didn't make sense anymore.
Correct. Yeah. So we can blame it on the woman, right? Isn't that what Adam did? He blamed it on Eve.
Yeah.
So what's sort of the theme of Ecclesiastes, living life to the maximum, but yet empty. That's the story of many people. We'll look into that tonight. Just more trivia questions here. During which festival is Ecclesiastes read? Rabbi, you can't answer it.
Okay.
Neither can you, Amy, because you're Jewish. Anybody, during which festival is Ecclesiastes read? Hint starts with an S. Yeah, who said that? Okay, good. Sukkot.
You should have told her no too.
Yeah, no, they're the star pupils.
You know the answer.
All right, quick more tidbits. So obviously we strongly believe that Ecclesiastes was written by Solomon towards the end of his life. He's kind of looking back. It expresses Solomon's regret for his folly and wasted time due to carnality and idolatry. Basically, I had it all, I tried it all, it doesn't satisfy, I sinned, don't make my mistakes. Who did we look at last week? I guess we're going to get to those slides a little later, so I won't jump ahead. Some different opinions. Some believe that when Solomon is written in Ecclesiastes, he's upset, venting, disillusioned. He's tried everything, done everything, explored everything, and yet empty. Some believe he walked away from the Lord, and if you read Kings, it sounds like the wives took him over, he gave over to other gods. Some believe that he might not be in heaven. I don't know. It seems like when you read Ecclesiastes towards the end, he finally sums it up and says, really, to sum it all up, follow the Lord, obey his commandments. It seems like he repents. All right, the second opinion is he's not really venting, but he's warning his readers not to make the same mistakes he has. He did. He did. All right, so, this is what he says in the very end of Ecclesiastes. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter after he's gone through 12 chapters. He says, what? Fear God, reverence God, and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. So that sounds like a man who hasn't walked away from the Lord. All right. One question to keep in mind as we go through this study here is, does God matter? As he's writing this, he's writing the wisdom of Solomon under the sun, so I like to say it. Seems like really he keeps God out of the equation, but just keep in mind in all of this as we're reading, does God matter? If life is vanity and vain and worthless the way he sounds it and vain, where does God matter? Where does God play into this? We'll sort of look at that as we go into it tonight. So I thought I had some slides on somebody. Maybe I do further up. So remember last week we looked at Deion Sanders. Now I don't know what kind of man of God he is today. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just talking about he had it all. Young man. He was playing for 2 sports, football, top of the game football, baseball. Played 1 year. He was in the Super Bowl World Series. Had everything. As he said, everything I touched became gold. He did commercials. Sometimes he had like 5 commercials on at the same time. He had a top 10 hit with his rap, Must Be the Money. Just money, woman, everything. Had gator skin shoes. He wore like 2 pair a week, different pair. He had it all. Money. He'd accomplished everything he had by 1996 after he won, I think, his 2nd Super Bowl. He won it with the 49ers, then with the Dallas Cowboys a year later. And in this hotel room, he just purchased, back in 96, with a $275,000 Lamborghini. And he says he was the most depressed. He bought his mom a dream home because his mom had worked very hard. Single mom, 2 jobs, worked very hard. He'd achieved everything, and he says it just was the most depressing night of his life. And eventually he tried to commit suicide. And he, took his car down the road and tried to go off the cliff at a hairpin turn, and he landed. He did die. His car got destroyed, but he survived. And there were Christian men in his life, football players who shared the gospel with him, and it was a hotel room that had hit him when he read Romans, the Romans road of salvation, and that's where he says he gave his life to Christ. But again, he'd done it all, had it all. He had everything, every material thing, and he had that whole-sized gap in his heart. God-sized hole in his heart. Shia LaBeouf, same thing. We looked at him. He was on top of the game, had done the movie Transformers, was the up-and-coming young actor at 23, had everything, all the money, fame, and as he was being interviewed, he says it's like in Hollywood we have this big hole, God-sized hole in our hearts that can't be filled with the fame and fortune we have.
Could see his name was Sheila.
Sheila LaBeouf?
It was a dude. His name was Sheila. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, in Australia you call them Sheilas, right?
That would be girls.
Oh, is it? Okay, no, he's a guy.
No, I know, but I'm saying he could have been depressed because his parents named him Sheila.
Shia, no, Shia.
Shia. Okay.
Shia, yeah, Shia LaBeouf. That's right.
You're confusing.
S-H-I-A, I think that's like a Lebanese name or something.
Okay, Shia.
Okay.
Like the Sunni, the Shia tribe of Islam.
Oh, no, not so
Shia.
much. So, can someone check for me, please, on Google what Shia, S-H-I-A, where that name originates? I think it's Middle East. I'm going to say it's Lebanon. What's that?
No, it's Shiite. Shiite is the sect of Islam.
Sect, okay. All right, so just a quick thing, quick overview of last week. So, words of the preacher. We know that's Koheleth, right? No, there's not Koheleth. What's preacher in Hebrew?
A preacher?
Yeah, what's the name of preacher in Hebrew? Koheleth? Koheleth, right? Koheleth. Yeah. All right, let's look at verse 1 words. The preacher, son of David, king in Jerusalem, vanities of vanity, says the preacher, vanity is vanities, all is vanity. All right, we looked at that word. In Hebrew, it's, I forgot, it's hovel, which really means mist, smoke. It's not really vapor, there we go, vapor. What does man gain by all the toil at which he toils under the sun? A generation goes, a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises, the sun goes down, and hastens to the place where it rises. The wind blows to the south and goes around to the north. Around and around goes the wind, and on its circuits the wind returns. He was a very wise man. I mean, we have weather satellites that show us the weather patterns. Without satellites, he's describing exactly how the weather patterns, the trade winds operate around the earth. So clearly he was given a lot of wisdom.
So my question to people at this point is life meaningless? Is our lives meaningless here on earth?
No.
Why would he say that life is meaningless after all this? Can life be meaningless?
Yes.
If you're looking where? In the wrong places, exactly. If you're trying to fill yourself with everything of the earth and not everything of the spirit. Because remember, you're a spiritual being. So without the spiritual side of you, life is meaningless.
You know, one of the reasons we're here is to glorify God
That's correct, yep.
and develop our relationship. God is a relationship being, and He chose to bless us by creating us and do things that please Him on earth without having to earn salvation.
Now, when you look at commercials, you always see they're trying to give us new things, right, to fill that gap, right? We're never satisfied with what we have. It's always the next phone, the next car, the next, a bigger house, a bigger. We'll sort of touch on that a little later.
Let's not go to the big house thing, okay?
Oh yeah. Well, no, this is a congregation. Oh, this is a small house compared to some of those mega mansions of the Hollywood actors. Okay. All streams run to the sea, but the sea is not full. To the place where the streams flow, there they flow again. All things are full of weariness. A man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, or the ear filled with hearing. What has been is what will be. What has been done is what will be done. So he's basically talking patterns of nature just repeat themselves. It's just like our lives, just repeating the same thing over. We get up, work, eat, sleep, next repeat. You know, get up, work, eat, work, sleep, over and over and over, year after year after. What's the purpose? Day in, day out. Is there a thing which is said, see, this is new? I mean, look at bell bottoms, right? Bell bottoms were fashioned a couple of years ago. In the 70s, it just recycles. Nothing's new. It just repeats itself. It has been already in the ages before us. Here's a funny one. 3 years ago, it was don't eat butter. Butter's bad for you. Eat margarine. Now margarine is bad for you. Go back to butter. It's just things repeat themselves. You have to eat skim milk because whole milk's bad for you. But now the people that drink skim milk apparently are getting a lot of diabetes. So it's better to eat the whole milk because it doesn't spike your insulin as quick, and you're better off anyway. So grandparents were right all along. What's that?
I drink lactose free.
As long as it's not soy milk, Mitch.
Don't
Okay.
take out fat if God put it in there. That's
What's
what-
that?
Eat it the way God made it. Don't remove something that, fat is naturally in the milk. So-
Correct.
Mhm.
All right, there is no remembrance of former things, nor will there be any remembrance of latter things yet to be among those who come after. All right, Wes, you can't answer this question. Where is this place? Wes? I know Wes is like, where is this?
Iraq.
Yeah, Iraq, yeah. What ruins are these? It's the statue, the gold portion of the statue, the book of Daniel. The Babylon. Come on, Mishka. Remember, Babylon was, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon was one of the 8 man-made wonders of the world. Apparently, it was some magnificent structure there. Huge cities, infrastructure, just, I think they make some of today's cities really look just like little pueblos. They were really advanced. But what is it now?
Ruins.
New ruins. All right, there is no remembrance of former things, nor will there be any remembrance of latter things yet to be among those who come after. Who was Nixon's vice president? Wow, you're smart. Okay, I was hoping you'd all scratch your head and check the phones, but okay. All right.
You forget you're talking in Maryland.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
You don't often get Republicans in Maryland, so they stick out.
Okay. Bad question. All right, so verse 12, I, the preacher, have been king over Israel and Jerusalem, and I applied my heart to seek and to search out wisdom, all that is done under heaven. It is an unhappy business that God has given to the children of man to be busy with. I have seen everything that is done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and striving after the wind. What is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be counted. So this is not very cheerful. I said in my heart, I have acquired great wisdom, surpassing all who were over Jerusalem before me, and my heart has had great experience of wisdom and knowledge, and I applied my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceive this as also but a striving after wind. For in much wisdom is much vexation, and he who increases knowledge increases what? Sorrow.
That's because ignorance is bliss. If you don't know how bad it is, you don't care how bad it is.
Well, it's funny you say that because I try to engage my coworkers about things going on. They're, oh no, we don't watch the news. It's too depressing. I keep on hearing that. We don't watch the news. It's too depressing.
Well, if you watch the news, you'll be lied to. If you don't, you'll be
Yeah.
misinformed.
Okay.
If you don't watch the news, you'll be uninformed.
Okay.
So you have two ways to go, and both of them are bad.
See, I like the news because I try to see what the Bible is saying. We're supposed to be in the end times and see what's going on and how it lines up with the scriptures. I always, I guess I'm a masochist, right? Yeah, go ahead.
I have somebody I know that says that she watches the news only to pray against the negative reports.
Nice. Okay, good. Yeah.
No, that is a novel way to watch it.
This is a good way.
All right, so we already talked about Deion Sanders. Okay, had it all, done it all, got all the trophies, Super Bowl rings, cards, fame, and
Big house.
empty. And that's one of many homes, yeah. Let's see. Now he's called Coach Jackson. He's at Colorado State football. All right, so let's. What brings us lasting purpose, meaning, and happiness?
Heard it.
Heard of. Sorry.
That's the wrong answer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's certainly not fishing reels.
I'll set that one up.
Sorry,
Oh,
Herda.
that question.
Herda and fishing
Oh, that
reels.
question.
There we go. And little John Deere tractors in the back. Why do I have this? I was just thinking, I was sort of reflecting on myself over the last 20 years, just the hobbies I've gone into that I was really gung-ho, and now they're just scrapped on the side. I did them, enjoyed them, move on to something else. And I was just, you don't have to tell us, but if anyone goes back, let's just go 20 years, can you just think of stuff that you were really gung-ho about, or hobbies, you did them, but then they just kind of, they lost its interest, and you go, and then that's
Scrapbooking.
yeah, scrap. That's what I think you find a lot when you go to garage sales and places like that. It's just hobbies. It's not enough fishing reels, right? And eventually, you get tired. Well, it doesn't fill that God-sized hole in our hearts. Or how about Matchbox cars? Right? And how many can you collect? And what, you get tired. It's just material things. They don't fill that gape in our hearts. More stuff. You know, you just go around. You can see what hobbies people had that they liked, and they got lost interest. One man's junk can become another man's treasure, until it becomes your junk and then another man's treasure. You know, it's like, it's almost like this first chapter of Ecclesiastes. It's like, or the book is just, life is like you get on the bike, you pedal, 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 you get tired, you die, you fall, someone else gets on the bike, pedal, 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 pedal. You know, they die, fall off, someone, it's just over and over the same thing. You know, this junk goes from one person, becomes junk to someone, becomes a treasure to someone, and eventually becomes junk again. And it just, it goes on going and going. All right, so let's start off. I said in my heart, come now, I will test you with pleasure. Enjoy yourself. So who's this you he's talking about? Come now, I will test you with pleasure. Enjoy yourself. Behold, this was also vanity. So this you is life. Come now, I will test life with pleasure.
And the word he's using there is simcha, which is joy, happiness, and joy. Actually, he's using the word tov in Hebrew, which is good. So he's saying, I'm going to show you what is good and happy and fun, and it will bring you pleasure, but it's not going to last.
Yeah. So again, the word happy, what's it originate from? What's the word? What's the root word? Hapstance, right? Your circumstances. You're happy based on your circumstances. The scripture says our joy is from who? The Lord, right? It's not in our circumstances.
Inner joy, yeah.
Inner joy. Okay, behold, this was also vanity. I said of laughter, it is mad, and of pleasure, what use is it? I search with my heart how to cheer my body with wine, my heart still guiding me with wisdom, and how to lay hold on folly till I might see what was good for the children of man to do during the few days of their life. All right, so let's look at this again a little closer. We'll look at verse 2 to 3. I said of laughter. So he's trying to keep himself. He thinks maybe laughing will fill that void, that emptiness in his life. So what does he do? He becomes, the palace becomes Comedy Central. So he brings in Jerry Seinfeld, James, what's his name? This guy James, Gregory James, yeah. He brings Kathy Griffin, she gets kicked out. Too vulgar. Dave Chappelle.
He goes
So-
to WWF.
Silver Spring.
So he said, okay, laughter. Okay, so how long can you laugh? How long can you be laughing? How long can you be at a comedy show? Eventually you go to bed and your thoughts come in, and it's only temporary. You know, it's how many funny guys can you go see? And eventually it's going to get old, I would think. But he tried to fill himself with laughter. Laughter is good. I mean, the Bible tells us, right? What's that word about laughter? It's good for the heart.
It's good for the heart.
Good
yeah.
for the heart. I mean, if you were here when I presented the top secret slides during the UFO presentation, I didn't show them on Facebook because I don't want the FBI knocking on my door. But as I was putting those slides, I was laughing. I did stupid, but I was laughing out really hard over those silly slides I put together. It's good for you. It's also physically, it's good for you. It pumps your blood. It pumps all these endorphins. It boosts your immune system. I mean, physically, it's good to laugh. It's a good thing.
It's healing, too.
Healing. There we go, Mitch.
You
Yeah.
have to also remember that King Solomon could do anything he wanted because he had the money, he had the power, he had the position. He could do anything he wanted to bring him joy and happiness, to make his life great. And the harvest time, which is why we read this at Sukkot, it's a time of great joy, which is why this is read at the time of Sukkot. So he could do all those things, but every single time he did something and it pleased him, 5 minutes later he was empty again. Why? Because there was no God in it.
So all that time he could have spent studying the Torah and the scrolls, he was wasting it on mundane, carnal things. All right. Let's see. It says Psalms 126 verse 2 says, we are filled with laughter and we sang for joy, and the other nations said, what amazing things the Lord has done for them. That's just one of the many. Job 8:21, He will fill your mouth with laughter and your lips with shouts of joy. Let's see, this is Proverbs 17:22. A happy heart is good medicine, and cheerful mind works healing, but a broken spirit dries up the bones. You know, if you go to the cancer, what is it, Institute of Cancer Research, they use laughter therapy for their cancer patients. They use that. It's a lot of benefits. But also laughter can, well, let's see, actually I do have a little slide on that. Laugh it up. It's good for you. This is Stacy Simon. She's from Cancer Centers of America. So it says, everyone appreciates a good laugh. Chuckling with friends over a good joke or watching a funny show on TV can make you feel relaxed and happy. And researchers have found that laughter can actually cause physical changes, good ones in your body. I just mentioned some of them before. When you laugh, you speed up your breathing and take in more oxygen. It stimulates your heart, lungs, and muscles and encourages your brain to release hormones called endorphins that help control pain. Laughing also stimulates circulation and aids muscle relaxation, which helps reduce some of the symptoms of stress. Over the long term, humor can help you cope with difficult situations and connect. Okay, anyway. Even God laughs, right? In Psalms 2, God sits in heaven and laughs.
Look at us.
I mean, we have to look at the whole context here.
Man plans and God laughs.
Yeah, but God laughs. It says He's laughing. This is, again, if you read Psalms 2, it's when the nations try to conspire against the Lord and His anointed one, and they plan evil schemes, and it says God sits in the heaven and laughs at their plans. He holds them in derision, but still, He laughs. All right, so let's see. Okay, yes, sorry. So again, I said of laughter, it is mad at pleasure. You would think that comedians who make jokes would be the happiest people, right? Because they make people laugh.
Saddest people.
They laugh. They don't laugh themselves. They make people laugh.
Yeah, who's this guy?
Yeah,
What show was this from the 70s? Yeah, Mark and Mindy. Hey, he looks happy. He's on cloud nine when he was making the movie Peter Pan. Here's a quote. Cocaine for me was a place to hide. Most people get hyper on coke. It slowed me down. Sometimes it made me paranoid and impotent, but mostly it just made me withdrawn. I think the saddest people always try their hardest to make people happy because they know what it's like to feel absolutely worthless, and they don't want anyone else to feel like that. He was in a terrible place. I also personally think he did that movie Birdcage where he played the role of a homosexual, and I think he was kissing another man. I think when they do that, other stuff comes in on top of his depression. Satan just uses that to really make him go down and take their life.
Did he have a disease towards the end?
I don't know, but how did he die?
Yeah, he had Lewy body disease.
What's that? I don't know.
It's a brain disease. It's sort of like Alzheimer's, but not.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's different. But,
He had STDs too, so.
What?
STDs.
STDs, okay. Alice?
A few years ago, I met an Italian woman who told me a friend of hers back home in Italy was told by the doctor who's going through depression. The doctor had told him, I don't have anything that can help you medically, but I want you to go to the African churches and you'll get cured. And the friend asked why, because they sing and they dance and they laugh and they just enjoy themselves. So the friend went there and miraculously he got healed of whatever he was going through. So laughter goes a long way, I guess.
Yeah. As a doctor, Patch Adams healed a lot of people through laughter.
That's right, he did a movie. I think, what was it called? Patch Adams? I forgot what it was called. Patch Adams? Patch Adams, yeah.
He got kicked out of a hospital because he was healing a lot of people with laughter and taking them off their drugs and everything.
That's because Big Pharma, Pfizer, and Moderna, they need their people to buy the drugs, yeah.
I know. You're taking away business. Stop laughing. You're
Exactly.
bad for my business.
All right, another quote. I think the saddest people always try their hardest to make people happy. Wow. Because they know what it's like to feel absolutely worthless, and they don't want anybody else to feel like that.
Yeah.
So,
Most comedians have very sad lives.
Most of Hollywood does it. And if we know where the word actor comes from, right? The word hypocrite, that's a Greek word. And it's really actors. The word hypocrite is what they called actors, those who wore masks and did the little plays. And just because, they're playing a role of, they're someone who they really aren't, right? That's where you get the word hypocrite. So if you call a Hollywood person a hypocrite, they really are a hypocrite. That's the true definition of who they are. Also, laughter sometimes can mask issues, right? People who laugh a lot is because they're trying to hide things or hide issues, and it's balance. Here's another one. You would think. Let's see. Did I get ahead? Jim Carrey. We talked about him.
Yeah.
He was on Prozac for a long time, and he had to get off of Prozac. And when they asked him how's he doing now that he's on, he says, like, I'm living in this constant fog of depression the whole time. He's just barely making it through. You wouldn't know it from seeing in the movies and his comedy shows, but Sandy quotes, "Depression is your avatar telling you it's tired of being the character you're trying to play."
That's because their identity is in the world and not in Messiah. So everybody whose identity is not in Messiah is a character. It's not really who they are, because if you ever get them alone, they're completely different.
Very wise.
And that's something as we go look at more verses in this chapter 2, just think about where does knowing God and having a relationship with Him really answer these questions that he's struggling with as we go through this chapter. See more quotes. Jim Carrey opens up about his dark days of depression. Okay, we talked about that. Ellen DeGeneres, another one, opens up about her struggles with depression. She says it's not easy. It's for me to turn it on when I feel sad inside. She told today's Savannah Guthrie.
Bad lifestyle too.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it too, Mitch. I agree.
Demonic activity there.
I have to agree with you on that one, Mitch. Yep, absolutely. All right, so let's see. We looked at I search my heart, how to cheer my body. Okay, with wine. So what is it? I search my heart, how to cheer my body with wine. My heart still guided me with wisdom, and how to lay hold on folly till I might see what was good for the children of man to do under heaven during the few days of their life. All right, so just
Lots of wine at these banquets of the king. Lots of wine would flow from golden chalices, and they were amazing banquets that would go on for months and months and months. And they could numb themselves with the wine and the alcohol, but when they sobered up, it was all right back and more, because they may have done something under the influence that made it even worse.
Yep. You know that term cheers, right? It's people associate wine, alcohol with happiness. Cheers. So he probably tried wine, and I suspect maybe some kind of hard liquor. I don't think they had drugs back then, but I'm sure if he did, they had them.
Yeah, they used myrrh as a drug.
I didn't know that was a drug. Myrrh was a drug as well. Okay.
Remember that they offered it to those who were dying because it would be causing them painless. That's why Jesus wouldn't take it when he was first offered it, because he didn't want to lose his faculties. He wanted to make sure he was there. So they used the myrrh for that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
They may have had psychedelic mushrooms back then too.
Well, the Bible doesn't say anything about mushrooms. It does say something on myrrh. We'll just leave it at that.
Going back to the myrrh, when I was in Israel, they taught us that the way that the Greeks had used the bathroom, the men sat side by side, and there was a slave that had the sponge and used to clean behind them, and that type of sponge was used to give Jesus.
I heard that. Boy.
Yeah, so that was why.
Rabbi, what's your take on that?
I have no knowledge of
I
that.
heard that too.
Well, I mean, if it's an
I thought it was
actual
hyssop.
sponge, it would make sense.
It was a sponge on hyssop.
Oh.
Yeah, because you can buy natural sponges.
Punches in. Well, that's probably all they had back then. Yeah.
And that's why he denied it.
Yeah.
I'm thirsty.
I read that before.
No, he didn't deny it because it was that type of sponge. He denied it because he didn't want to lose his faculties, and he had yet to go through some more things. Because he did take it when he was finished, and he needed to cry out the last important lines. So that's like the rope tied to the rabbi's leg, or the priest's leg when he went into the Holy of Holies. There's no actual confirmation of any of that.
So we heard this. We know that during COVID, did they shut down the liquor stores?
Nope.
No.
Did they shut down the churches?
Yeah.
Not this one, but most of them, yeah.
We had 9 people here every week.
Every week. And we still do. I can count all 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We still got 9.
Sometimes they
We'll always
so
have 9.
loud.
So if somebody walks in, it's because somebody left from the crowd. We still got 9. Yeah, I'm not going to comment on alcohol where it's good or bad. I mean, we see Timothy, Paul says, take a little bit of wine, it's good for your stomach. Wine back then, I think, was watered down. It wasn't strong wine. Also, Proverbs tells us, strong wine and hard drink is a mocker, and you see things and say dumb things. And so I'm not going to comment on it. Personally, for me, it's never been an issue. I know for many it is. For me, what alcohol does, it just, whatever mood I'm in, it sort of bumps it up a bit. So if I'm not feeling good, I won't even touch it because it just makes me, if I feel a little down or I'm not, it just makes it worse. So for me, it never was but it's, I know for others, it's a struggle. All right, so what? Solomon had 700 of these and 300 of those. 700 of what?
Wives.
And 300 what? Concubines. So his days were pretty busy, or his nights were pretty busy. That means he could have one woman a night and he wouldn't see her again for 3 years. I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself. Oh yeah, I kind of am. How did he get to this? How did he get to 300 concubines and 700 wives? What led him to that? What was the progression that led Solomon to go in this path? When
He saw he wanted.
But he was given wisdom, right? In Proverbs, he talks about careful, don't get seduced by the adulterous woman. I saw a man lacking, devoid of sense, walking into a trap.
Weren't those like in that day and age, a marriage kind of solidified alliances.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's marrying a princess of Egypt,
Okay.
then then he has basically a trade agreement with Egypt. If he's marrying one of the Hittites and the Phoenicians, and
Yeah, he married what? Egyptians, Hittites, Phoenicians, not Canaanites, but Sidonians. So what did all these ites, what was one of the popular rituals?
Worship idols.
Ritual, but what did those include? What did that include? What actions?
False gods.
What?
False gods.
False gods, but there was an act. It starts with an S.
There were sex acts that
Yeah, there were
with the
sex
different-
acts. Yeah,
the
that was,
different gods.
that's right.
So,
Mitch, we'll get to that. Mitch?
I don't really know, but could it be that it's part of, contributing factors, he made peace with some of these kingdoms?
He did with the Egyptians, correct?
And
Yeah.
fell prey to these temptations.
But was that God's will? Didn't God tell him he was going to have peace during his reign? Did that mean he had to go out of his way to make peace with the Egyptians?
He was
No one
just
can
helping
justify
God.
it, too.
He was what? I like what Curtis said. He was trying to help God. That's right. That's funny. That's a good quote. Yeah, so just trying to figure out how this crept in. How did he end up with one wife, and then he reads Song of Solomon, Song of Songs, and then he gets to this point. What was the progression? What was that foot he led in the door that caused all this to occur? Alice.
I remember in Joshua when God says to keep the law in his mouth day and night.
Okay.
I think Solomon failed to do that.
Okay.
The door was open for any type of temptation coming.
So, how would that apply to us? What do we need to be careful that we don't make? I know, obviously, we're not going to have 300 spouses and 700 concubines or vice versa, but where do we need to be careful in our walk that we don't make? It doesn't have to be this kind of sin, but just other things that Solomon failed. What do we need to be doing?
Other things like little white lies, little differences, little
footholds of
It's
Satan.
like
Little
a
footholds,
slip and
okay.
slide.
Yes.
If you do a little tiny sin, you think that you can control it, and
Mhm.
there'll be trial, maybe one more. and then it's gonna be over for a little while until you repent and get back to the Lord, hopefully.
So anyway, I got a hold of, this is an ancient artifact they found. It was Solomon's diary. So birthday breakfast, wife number 94, Mike's nickname Pookie. Anniversary brunch, wife number 463, 5th anniversary, allergic to flowers. Attend baby shower, wife number 10 and number 22. Meeting marriage counselor, boy, that's going to be fun. Wife number 324 says she feels neglected. Anniversary lunch, wife number 347. Important, don't talk about concubines. Tape talk show topic, how many wives are too many? Attend marriage enrichment seminar. I don't know about this one. This one seems out of place. Write proverbs about good wives, 30 minutes. Write proverbs about bad wives. Wedding to wife number 699. Honeymoon pending. Childbirth class with wives number 44. 401. Intimate dinner with wife number 519. Brownie point mention weight loss. Propose to future wife number 700. Wedding pending.
Busy day.
Turn them down.
Now, King Solomon loved many foreign women along with the daughter of Pharaoh. Moabite, Ammonite, all the ites, termites, Edomite, termites, Sidonian, and Hittite women from the nations concerning which the Lord had said to the sons of Israel, you shall not associate with them.
No, it's you will not associate.
You will not associate with them, neither shall they associate with you, for they will surely turn your heart after their gods. And Solomon held fast to these in love. Okay.
So he disobeyed the Lord, and bad things happen.
Okay. Yeah. Really bad. So how bad? Well,
He lost the kingdom.
but so they had these cultish practices that now he invited into Israel. What was the ultimate yucky thing that they were doing?
Child sacrifice.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so you see some of these things from Egypt here on the bottom. You can see it's all about sex and seduction. So of course he just the Pharaoh's daughter wasn't enough. He needed her servants and caretakers but yeah. Do you think eventually led to this?
Yep.
Yeah, little slip, a little bit here, a little bit there, and next thing you know, in the valley of Gehenna, and what is it? They're burning their children. Now, did this occur under Solomon's reign or afterwards? I don't know. I know it occurred after, but did it? I'm just wondering if he opened the door for these practices, these gods to come in, and then with
Those gods were already in the land
okay.
when Israel took over. So it wasn't that it was new,
Yeah, okay.
but Israel was supposed to stay away from it.
Right. But again, if the government, right, he's the government, right? So if the government's promoting, then it's going to be more pronounced among the people, right? I mean, for example, I'll say it. Hopefully they won't be knocked on my door tonight, but we'll see a quote later on from him in further chapters. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There's nothing new under the sun. Again, just hold your thought about what we saw the child sacrifice. I think we all know where we're going with this. No, we see that there. Nothing's new.
But also, it's a big deal when the leader is doing it.
And that's what I was trying to get at. Yes,
People are doing it,
exactly,
but
Amy.
when
Yep,
it's sanctioned.
that's right. It just makes it worse. Yep.
So Elisha?
Yep.
Okay.
These are the days of Elijah. Can I blow the shofar? No, I guess not.
But along with the abortion, what else is America doing today to its children as a sacrifice?
Mutilation. Yeah. So
Mutilation.
we've seen this slide before. So it's this is no different than the child Moloch sacrifices. Anytime I see men in these pictures among women, I think they're I'm not gonna say anything. They're chemically castrated, and this is who they stand with. It's no bones about it. You stand with Planned Parenthood. You stand with Satan.
Not that this excuses them, but they don't know it. I I mean, they think they're standing up for whatever, women's
Right.
rights,
Right.
and they don't understand what they're really.
Well, again, you can put the truth in front of somebody and they can't see it anymore because they're so blinded by their desires that they can't see it. But if you look at certain political platforms, the Satanic platform, the Marxist platform, and Planned Parenthood, and they all have the same exact platform.
Wasn't racism part of Planned Parenthood?
It was the beginning of Planned Parenthood, there's no question.
It started with Jeanette, something.
Eugenics. Yeah.
Eugenics,
You don't
yeah.
want-
Margaret Sanger.
You don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
All right, so on the theme of many wives, we know this from, I think, John chapter 4, Jesus and the Samaritan woman at the well. How many wives or husbands did she have? 5, right? Jesus says you've had 5 husbands. The man you're with now he's not your husband. What was the issue with her? Apparently she wasn't satisfied, right? Always looking, always looking, always looking. Never satisfied. You see that a lot. Hearken unto me now, therefore, O ye children, I guess reading Old English here, and attend to the words of my mouth. Let not thine heart decline to her ways. Do not astray in her paths, for she hath cast down many wounded. Yea, many strong men have been slain by her. Her house is the way to hell, going to the chambers of death. Who wrote this? Solomon. Yeah, they have a void in their heart. And that famous actress, she's had many husbands,
Mm-hmm.
always looking for a new one. Got tired of Alex Rodriguez, P. Diddy, now is back with Ben Affleck, and I can tell you that's going to last no more than the best year and a half. Just watch, it's gonna, and then she's on to something else. Casper Smart, who was caught in the gay house, just Drake, never satisfied. Why are you never going to be satisfied with life? Because only Jesus will give you that satisfaction, that joy. All right, so let's read from verse 4 on. It says, notice here how he pens this. I made great works. I built houses and planted vineyards for myself. I made myself gardens and parks and planted in them all kinds of fruit trees. I made myself from the fridge to water the forest of the growing trees. I bought males and female slaves and had slaves who were born in my house. I had also great possessions of herds and flocks, more than any who had been before me in Jerusalem. I had also gathered for myself silver and gold and treasures of the kings and provinces. I got singers, both men and women, many concubines, the delight of the sons of men.
Who else had the 5 eyes?
Satan.
Satan.
Yeah.
Satan.
That's why I say Michigan's more noble than the other churches. Okay. Isaiah 14,
Oh,
13.
sorry. You were going there.
Yep, you said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven. That's right, that's 5. I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the mountain of assembly on the heights of the most sacred. Yeah, that's 5.
Yep. Satan had the same idea.
Same idea, yep.
How many I ams did Jesus have?
7.
7?
I think so, yeah.
Let's see, gold, silver. There was so much silver in Jerusalem that it says that silver was like stones. He flooded the market with silver. It had no value. There was so much silver that it just, there was nothing special about it. It was just like stones on the side of the roads there, on the streets. All right, nothing wrong with hard work, right? The Bible champions hard work. But if we work, I'm getting ahead of myself. There is profit in hard work, but mere talk leads to poverty. Proverbs, who wrote that? Again, Solomon. Nothing wrong with working hard. There is something wrong if your identity is in your work, and there's some problems there. Good planning and hard work, another Proverbs. Good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, but hasty shortcuts lead to poverty. All right, Proverbs 16:3. So commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will be established. All right, so here's the little problem I had. So as I was putting these slides together, I was putting in comments, so I wouldn't have to print out a sheet. And I thought the comments would show up on my presentation. You know, you wouldn't see them on the screen. And I thought, oh, okay, I can just read my notes. Well, it didn't exactly work out that way. So I think in a couple slides, I might have to get out of presenter view so I can sort of jump in and see like, oops, what did I just do? Slideshow.
I had a presenter view.
Yeah, start from current slide.
So the whole thing about this is that Solomon is going through, he's building all this stuff, he's building houses, he's building gardens, he's building all this wonderful stuff. And once he gets it, it no longer satisfies. Once he gets it, he's like, I got to do the next thing because I thought this was going to make my soul feel complete. And now it doesn't feel complete. I got to go back to it. And this is where we are as a people. We're constantly chasing. I think this is why he chased the women. How many men love the thrill of the chase? We all like to chase the woman. And the minute she says yes, all of a sudden we start treating her differently. Because now we got her. You know, like the man said, I told my wife I loved her. If it changes, I'll tell her again. But until then, I'm not going to tell her I love her. This is the thing. We have to remember, when we catch something, when we get something, when we complete something, when we build something, if we didn't do it for the glory of God, it's not going to satisfy us. And this is why we have to be so careful with what we achieve and how we achieve it. I thought I talked long enough for you to get through.
Well, it's an old computer. I'm afraid if I click too fast, it's going to freeze up on me.
Let's pray for a new computer.
I'd not have 5 computers. That's too many.
Yes, but bring the newer one.
I guess I could give it. Okay, so I was on slide 46. There we go. Commit yourself. Almost there. All right, commit your work to the Lord. Your plans to be established. I talked about how there was so much silver was flooded the marketplace, and it had no value in Jerusalem. See, I got singers, both men and women, many concubines, singers. I mean, how often can you be sung to? You know, that would please you. I just can't imagine this going day in and day out, trying to hide your daily toil by having all this entertainment. I don't know. Treasure hunt. Okay, so now he's going to move on to some different versions, and we call this, now he's going for the treasure hunt. He's going to be looking at stuff, whether this stuff is going to bring him satisfaction. I, on a personal note, I said if I ever would come into a little money, I'd get a sailboat, and I'd sail to the South Pacific. But owning a sailboat means my weekends would be at the harbor fixing. That means I'm not going to be at the house of the Lord worshiping. I'm not going to be serving Him. Going on those trips, you have to practice locally on the bay here. Then you have to get special insurance to go out on the ocean in the sailboat, and you have to go with experienced people. You have to train for all that time. I'm not going to be in the house of the Lord worshiping with other people. What good is that? Eventually, got to look at the eternal. You know, when I think, boy, I can't wait to the day when I get to be in Jerusalem. I don't care what position I give in there, but I get to rule or co-rule or work for the Lord in the 1,000-year reign, because it's going to be a beautiful world, no evil. You know, that's what I try looking at. It's going to be so wonderful. If I can't go to the South Pacific, boy, I'm going to be there on the Mount of Olives, you know, in Jerusalem, with a king, you know, above there, serving him.
Who rules with righteousness and
rules
justice.
with righteousness. I'm sure he's going to let it. It sounds like people will be able to go fishing. It actually can do things. I'll be able to go places, enjoy what's now a recreated world that is prosperous, where the lion's not going to attack you, the snake is not going to eat you. You're going to be able to sleep out of the safaris on the floor, not worry about scorpions or mambas to bite you. It's going to be beautiful. So just wait till then. Till then, serve the Lord. Okay. Let's see. So I became great, and I surpassed all who were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me, and whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. I kept my heart from no pleasure, for my heart found pleasure in all my toil, and this was my reward for all my toil. What was his reward?
Death.
Then I considered all that my hands had done and the toil I had experienced in doing it, and behold, all was grasping at vapor
Yep.
and striving after wind.
Yep.
And there was nothing to be gained under the sun. Notice how he says there's nothing to be gained under the sun. That's under the natural, under
But under
the
the
carnal.
SON,
under the what?
the SON, there's plenty to be gained.
Oh yeah, under that
This-
SON, yeah.
This is a problem for many. Okay, like when I retired from the police department, every day, like I've been retired since 2009, every day they send out notices of people who retired and died. They were younger than me, they were healthier than me, they were thinner than me, and they all died because their whole identity was in their career. And when they left their career, their identity went to zero, and it left them depressed and unable to function. And this is why you can't have your identity in anything other than Jesus Christ. Because if your identity rests on what the world thinks of you based on your position, your job, your marriage, or whatever, you will end up in that same vanity of vanities.
Yeah, I remember once seeing, I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself here. Now, let me tell you, this is slide 49. After slide 50, I have comments in these slides, but again, I was hoping they'd show up on my screen here. So I'm going to have to get out of presenter mode so I can cheat and kind of look at my comments as I go from here on out. It's only, how many slides do I have left? I only have, I'm in slide 49, I have 62, so I'm going to have to get out of presenter mode after this. But until then, all right, so yeah, so I was seeing this a couple of years ago, a friend sent me something and I was looking at some Facebook, but I noticed one person put this, their comment on their Facebook was, works at this church. And I thought, wow, their identity is, I work at this church. I was thinking, well, no, it'd be, I'm a child of the Most High, but to say I work, I'm not going to say at this church is like that's their identity. Like, I work at this church. I don't know. Seemed like vanity to me. All right, so what's this? Let's see. Okay, so does money bring happiness? Well, let's look at some of these lottery winners here. So this I remember. So back in 1984, I think California had started instituting the lottery. And it's always for. Okay, I'm cheating. They're it was to help the schools. But anyway, by 1988, I remember I was in high school, I read an article. They're saying 8 out of the 10 people who had won the lottery who started in 84, they wish they'd never won it. 8 out of 10 who'd won millions in the California lottery had wished they would not have won the lottery. All right, so let's look at some of these people who won the lottery. So what happened when this lottery winner learned the truth about her random winning numbers? So the Mary Holmes lottery. So I can't even read it. It's too small. I have to read here. Mary Holmes worked at Walmart when she discovered her random numbers placed in the lottery won her $188 million. Soon after, her life was wrecked by lawsuits, bailing out her boyfriend from jail all the time, and multiple other poor financial decisions, leaving her emotionally and financially drained. Then she found out her numbers weren't so random, after all, and were carefully chosen by her mother. Her mother renounced her claim to the ticket and gave it to her daughter, Marie. Does she sound like she's happy she won the lottery?
Nope.
How about let's look at this guy here. 1982 lottery winner Curtis Sharp blew $5 million in 5 years. He spoke with whoever, Good Day, New York. It says Curtis Sharp hit it big in 1982, winning $5 million. That's a lot of money back then. He blew all of it in 5 years, spending about $1 million a year on family, cars, real estate, and women. Fast forward to today, he's a minister in Antioch, Tennessee. His advice to other winners is get away to clear their head before spending any of it. Is to get away to clear their.
How about not spending it on the lottery?
Yeah, maybe that was a bad choice. All right, how about this guy here, Billy Bright? No, Michael Carroll. 19-year-old Michael Carroll was already a small-time criminal with a police ankle bracelet. One, as he collected his lottery winnings of $14 million, he was quickly named lotto lout, for buying a mansion and other lavish items, terrorizing the neighbors and going through his money like water. It wasn't long before he was broke and living on unemployment with his mother. He's now said he's likely to collect $300 a week wages from a cookie factory, but that his former lifestyle would have led him to an early grave.
I have no idea.
This is
Billy Bob.
Billy Bob, 1997. Billy Bob Jr. thought his struggles were over. He won $30 million from the lottery, planned to live the easy life. After quitting his job at Home Depot, he took his family on a Hawaiian vacation, bought family and friends' houses, and donated tons of money to his church and charity. Unfortunately, he began to receive unwanted attention, demanding money, and also made a bad deal with a company that provided lump sum payments to lotto winners, getting much less than he originally would have received. After he and his wife separated, he went to a downward spiral and shot himself in the head. Before he died, he told his financial advisor, winning the lottery was the worst thing that ever happened to me. So again, does money buy happiness?
Nope.
No. And let's look at this last guy, Jack Whitaker. He's interesting. So he was already a millionaire. He had won $350 million when he already had $17 million in his own personal finances. Even after giving tons of money away to charity, he couldn't escape his own demons, eventually downfall. Many suffer when he lied. For example, he was at West Virginia at a strip club, and he had about $500,000 in his car. His car got broken into. $500,000 was stolen right from his car. He was robbed several times. That was one of them, which completely emptied his bank accounts. Several of his family members died as well, including his mother, his granddaughter, and their boyfriend. He attributes this, and another thing I was listening to, he attributed this to the lottery. So he lost family members to drugs and whatnot because of the lottery.
It's weird that he was okay with 17 million, but when he got to 315 million, his life went down.
Well, there's a big difference when you earn your money. You know how to manage it. You know, but when it's given to you, you see that whenever people are given free stuff, they always trash it. When they work for it, it's usually kept pretty well. Okay, we want to look at this. We get the story. It's not good. None of these are good. Silly advice to any future winners: run. He won $4 million, and he tells people run away. Okay. So again, what did wise old Solomon write in Proverbs? He says, not very clear, but give me neither poverty nor riches. Give me just enough to satisfy my needs. For if I grow rich, I may deny you and say, who is the Lord? And if I am too poor, I may steal and thus insult God's holy name.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to have to cheat out of this because I have my comments, and I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So, all right, come on. Where's the mouse? Oh, is it on the screen? That's why.
You have a mouse?
Touchpad.
Never had.
Cracking wise jokes over there. Heard of. Let's see. Where was I? 50?
Must be in the millions.
All right, if you don't mind, we'll just keep it like this from now on. We only got a couple more slides to go. All right, Hebrews 13:5 would say, keep your life free from love of money, and be content with what you have. For he has said, I will never leave you, forsake you. There's that saying, money makes a good servant, but a terrible. Try. Who said that?
Master?
Yeah, who said that? Amy. Very good. Yeah. Money makes a good servant, but a terrible master. Jesus said, Luke 12:15, watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist what? In an abundance of things, of gadgets. Why is that? Because it is appointed for man to die once, and afterwards this judgment. What did Job say? Naked into the world I came, and naked I will depart. We can't take any of our stuff with us. Unlike the Egyptian gods, right? We know that the pharaohs, when they were buried with food and all fancy gadgets around them, thinking they were going to take that to the afterlife. Not so.
So I have a question. If both wise men and foolish people die, then can we know we can leave our possessions to people. Can we leave our wisdom to people?
No.
Can you leave wisdom to people?
Yes.
If you write a book or you leave behind your words.
Teach them a little
Now, while they'll gladly accept your possessions, do you think many in the generations behind us are going to take our wisdom?
No.
Something to consider.
All right, so no notes here. I don't know what I was going to talk about, so I'm going to move on. All right,
Where's the notes?
vanity of toil. Oh, that's a problem when I don't have. Let me cheat here. What's my notes here? Ah, okay, yeah.
It's on the screen.
Is it? Okay, you can read it. The problem is, I need to go to slideshow from current slide. Can you see this? Okay. All right, so let's read Vanity of Toil from 18. So I hated all my toil in which I toil under the sun, seeing that I must leave it to the man who will come after me, and who knows whether he will be wise or a fool. Yet he will be master of all which I toil, and use my wisdom under the sun. This also is vanity. So I turned about and gave my heart up to despair over all the toil of my labors under the sun. So I know nowadays what's occurring, many farmers, their children don't want to continue farming. So all those generations of farmers, how do you think they must feel that now their children, when they're taking over, they're talking about selling it to developers? And again, they're leaving what they worked so hard to provide food and the lifestyle. The kids don't want any of it. As soon as the father dies, the parents die, they're going to sell the land off to developers, and what used to be fields of crops is going to be fields of concrete and grass. Let's see. I hated my toil. He will be master of all which I toil under wisdom. Son, this is vanity. So I turned about and gave my heart up to despair over all the toil of my labors in the sun, because sometimes a person who has toiled with wisdom and knowledge and skill must leave everything to be enjoyed by someone who did not toil for it. This is also vanity, great evil. So who did Solomon leave his kingdom to? His son, right? And someone else. Rehoboam and Jehoboam.
Rehoboam and Jeroboam.
Boom. What did they do?
Was divided.
Yeah, they squandered. They squandered what his dad had built up.
And the kingdom was once again divided too.
Divided, yep. Just like the Lord said, right under you, while you're in your reign, it's going to be quiet and peaceful. And afterwards, it's given over, it's split, and it wasn't as successful. Why have a man from all toil and striving of heart, with which he toils beneath the sun? For all his days are full of sorrow, and his work is vexation. Even in the night his heart does not rest. This is also vanity. Why would our hearts not rest in the evening? Who are we supposed to have our rest in? God, right? So if you
You're
rest,
always worried about someone stealing your stuff. You're
Yeah.
worried about what's going to happen
Yep.
to it. You're worried about what if you don't show up the next day if
Yep.
you can't do your work.
Yep.
So everything you've amassed, you've got to worry about.
Yep. Again, this is leaving God out of the equation. Alas, Solomon, the wisest of all men, made the worst use of his wisdom, had 700 wives and 300 concubines, he yet left but one son behind him to possess his estate and his throne, and that one was the silliest of fools, as we just talked about earlier. His kingdom was divided.
No, they're saying Rehoboam was the fool.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yep. He's the silliest of
He
fools.
listened to young advisors instead of the old ones of his father. He
Oh,
listened
that's
to-
right. Yes. Yes, you're right. That's right. Yep. Oh, there's my notes. No wonder I didn't see it. What's this one? Oh, I already read that. Therefore, my beloved brothers, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in what? In the Lord's work, because you know that your labor is what? Not in vain. We are
In the Lord.
before that he said it was what? Just vain.
Vanity.
But if it's in the Lord, it's not in vain. When you're doing things for him, it's not in vain. Big difference. Psalm 90. What? Life is fleeting. Only who gives it meaning? God gives it meaning. Now, that's not to say that people who don't know God can't enjoy life, have happiness, but at the end, are they going to be truly content on their deathbed? How would you explain that, Rabbi? If someone says, well, it's not just you Christians who get to enjoy life, and us atheists also can enjoy life and drink wine and enjoy the taste and enjoy the sun and laugh and how would you address someone who says, why do you need God?
But you don't need God to live. You only need God when you die. See, that's the difference. When there is an eternity awaiting all men. And where you spend that eternity depends on who you know and how well you know him.
Yep.
So therefore, you can live a life on this earth without God, and you can have amassed a bounty, you can have houses and cars and women and fame and fortune, but at the judgment, all that is burned up. And so without having God, there is nothing to have. Because in eternity, you're going to lose it all anyway, and it's going to be a miserable eternity as opposed to the God-fearing eternity. And that's the argument I get, because people are always like, well, what if you believe all this God stuff and then you die and you find out there's nothing, you just die? Well, I had a good life, I lived a good life, and I was honest and had integrity and did what I was supposed to do. And I said, and what if you die without God? And it turns out to be true that there is a God. Now you have nothing, and you have an eternity of suffering and pain. So, I mean, you can look at it both ways. You can think I'm a fool for believing and for trusting and for hoping, and if I'm wrong, and I'm okay with that because I don't lose anything. But if I'm right, you lose everything.
Right.
All right, we're almost towards the end here. There is nothing better for a person that he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his toil. This also I saw is from the hand of God. For apart from him, who can eat or can have enjoyment? For to the one who pleases him, God has given wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner, he has given the business of gathering and collecting only to give to one who pleases God. This is also vanity and striving after the wind. Last letters, where am I going? Did it freeze on me?
So Solomon is not saying just eat, drink, and be merry for tomorrow we die. He's not just saying that because that would be the philosophy of fatalism, not faith. Rather, he's saying thank God for everything you have, enjoy it to the glory of God. That's the same thing Paul said in his attitude to exhort that we have to trust living in God and to be with God. And to love God richly in 1 Timothy 6, verse 17. But Solomon made it clear that not only were the blessings from God, but even the enjoyment, the ability to enjoy it is only if you know God. So if you don't know God, you might have joy for a minute. If you know God, you'll have joy for eternity.
You know, what I try to remind myself sometimes, just simple things. If I go out for a walk with my dog, just to thank him. Lord, thank you for this walk. Thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for this coffee I had. Just acknowledge him that he's the one that gave to you. He's the one that gave us the taste buds. He's the one that gave us the ability to brew it, you know, and to think, just get in the habit of just even thanking him over the little things.
Gratitude rewires your brain.
There we go. I like that. Gratitude rewires your brain. That's what Amy said. And then, again, he just ends this here. For apart from him, who can eat and who can find enjoyment? All right, something's missing. What's missing here? Why did I put this in here? Let's see. Let's find out. Oh, yeah. Okay. Something's missing. I should cheat and see my notes. Yeah. See, I was hoping this stuff would... No, this is not this one. I already talked about this. Are Christians the only happy people in the world? Of course not. People who do not know God cannot be happy, successful, because we just talked about. But at the end of the day, whether alone in bed or on your deathbed, when you are one heartbeat away from eternity, you will find you still have the huge hole in your heart. Yeah, just like Sheila Buff said. And again, he said here, we'll see this next week, he has made everything beautiful in this time. He has also set eternity in the hearts of men. So I still think every person has that longing, that they're searching, that once they're on their deathbed, boy, I've squandered X number of years. Yet they cannot fathom the work that God has done from the beginning to end. And did I go back again to this? All right, so questions no one knows the answers to. Who has questions no one knows the answers to? Oh, Amy.
I've thought about that verse a lot.
Which one?
God said eternity in their hearts.
Let me go back
I
up
don't know
there.
exactly what it means. I know when I was a little girl, I used to think, one day I'll die and I won't exist anymore, and I could not get there mentally. wasn't true. I will always exist,
Mhm.
my soul. But I kept thinking, I just want to exist. I couldn't get, I don't know if it means that everyone knows that there's an eternity, or if it means people long to live forever. I don't really know.
You know what comes to mind to me is that passage in Peter, 2 Peter, where he says people suppress the truth. It's like they're suppressing that, or like when he's talking about the flood, God's judgment, he says people are dumb on purpose. Like people are willingly ignorant that God destroyed the world by water, and then I think in Romans it says they suppress the truth. I think that's what's going on. If you were to query people and talk to them and start digging in, they would see that there's something more. This is just not it. I think they're suppressing that. They don't want to. Just like my coworkers, they don't want to see the news because it's too depressing. And like one said, it raises my blood pressure. The other ones ask, it's like, no, it's just too depressing. I don't want to hear that. They don't want to. They want to just suppress it. Any thoughts, Rabbi? Questions no one knows the answers to?
No?
No? All right, well, I think that's it.
The answer is always Jesus, so it's never a problem.
Yep.
Sunday school answer.
That's it. It's always Jesus. If you don't feel well, what should you do? Trust in Jesus. If you don't know what to do, what should you do? Trust in Jesus. If you don't know where to go, trust in Jesus. It's always the same answer. Because apart from Jesus, there's nothing worth having and nothing worth doing.
True.
All right, Rabbi, what do you got for us this Saturday?
I have no idea.
Rabbi has no idea. Okay, neither do I.
I do
We
know-
don't have answers.
I do know this. It's third Shabbat, right? Third Shabbat, 5 o'clock upstairs. Bring something for our monthly fellowship dinner. Yes, we feed you every week at 5 o'clock, but this Shabbat is the fellowship dinner where we ask you to actually bring something instead of just come and enjoy, and we prefer you bring something from your country of origin because as long as it's kosher. No pork, no shellfish, no squid, no sea cucumber. I don't know, some of you people, I don't know what you eat. But I know when we get some of that weird stuff and I show it to the Asian people, they're like, oh my God, sea cucumber, give me that. I'm like, ah. But, okay, so anyway, bring something from your native country that you want to share with the group and come at between 4:30 and 5 so we can get it on the buffet table so that everyone can partake in it. I have no idea what I'm preaching on yet. I wrote some of it, but I don't remember what I wrote yet. We've had a very busy, it's been a very busy week. For those of you who don't know, we brought in 6 pallets of water. So you guys have water coming out your water ears. We also 2 of those pallets were San Pellegrino orange flavored water, and I expect everyone to leave with at least 1 case tonight.
It's fancy water.
It's that fancy Italian water made with Italian oranges from my mother's home country of Italia. But yes, I expect everyone to leave with at least 1, if not 2 cases of orange drink. We got to get this stuff out of the pantry, okay? So
You mean
no,
orange soda?
it's not orange soda. It's water with orange flavoring. But it's not even sparkling, because I don't like sparkling water. I don't like mineral water. But this is pretty tasty. And according to our Lutheran pastor friend, if you mix it with Italian red wine, it's the best. Not being a drinker, I don't know. But my wife said it was good, so I'm guessing. She just happened to have some Italian wine and, the orange drink. So anyway, yeah. So that's coming up. Is this weekend is the dinner. Please be here between 4:30 and 5 and bring something from your country to share with everybody. And women, you're meeting Thursday morning with Herta. That's still on.
Oh, next week. Talk about next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, I'll be teaching Bible study. I don't know what I'm going to teach yet, but we'll do something. So Paul's not going to be here next Tuesday, so still come next Tuesday. We'll do something fun, because, Paul doesn't do anything fun, so we'll do something fun. But
I just do the meaningless.
the fun part is watching him mess with his bad computer. So, any questions?
Maybe I'll pick up a new computer while I'm there.
You should. Any questions? Concerns?
That's your computer?
No. It's from 1912. It has little IBM flashcards that zip through it as he changes slides.
Paper punch.
I do remember my very first class in computers when I was coming through school was you had to put the little wire here and the other wire here, and you had to run your punch cards, and you had a stack of punch cards like this to get something to tell you the date and time. Fun times. All right. Wes is like, I remember those. The Army still uses them, so most people stop with that hanging Chad thing back in that one election. Okay. Any questions? Complaints? Complaints go to Herta. I get questions and concerns. Yeah? And see, 46 years I have not tired of her. That's a good thing. Haven't sought any others. That's a good thing. Better than Solomon. It's hard to believe that Solomon had all that wisdom, yet he didn't follow wisdom. That's weird. So, but a lot of us have a lot of wisdom, and we don't follow our own counsel and advice that we know of God. So that's how it goes. You want to pray? You want me to pray? Okay. Anything we need to know? Keep Susie Johnson in prayer. Her family, her grandmother passed away. Her mother's mother passed away. And they're going to be having a mourning. And she's all the way, not Susie, but the woman died in Texas, I believe, right? So we want to keep that in prayer. We want to continue to pray for the people of our congregation. We want to pray for our food ministry. We had a new connection yesterday where we got all this orange water from, and hopefully that will bloom into something that will bring Michigan lots of food for the food pantry. So, yeah, keep all these things in prayer. So let's go to the Lord. Alvinu Mokenu, our Father and our King, we thank you so much, Lord, that you supplied the wisdom of the ages to us. That not only giving it to Solomon and having him write it down, but we have the opportunity to read it, to follow it. Yes, wisdom can be inherited if we accept it, if we can learn vicariously through the mistakes of others. So, Father, I pray that each of us would continue to give you glory and honor because we would follow after you and not after the world. We would want to fill our hearts, our minds, our souls, and our spirits with the things of God and not the things of this world. There's nothing wrong with enjoying the things that you've placed here for us in the world, but let it never replace you, God, in what we cherish, in what we worship, and in what we want to spend time with. If we want to do anything more than we want to spend time with you or the Word of God, then I pray, Father, that you take it away from us. So we thank you, Lord, for the many blessings you give us each and every day. We want to lift up Susie and her family as they're going through this time of mourning. Father, someone's friend also passed away. Joyce's friend. Yes, she also passed away. We just prayed for her on Saturday as she was put in hospice. We pray for that family as well, Lord, as they're going through a time of mourning. And we pray you'll be with Miss Joyce as she's missing her friend now. And Father, all these things, we just lift to Jesus, our Lord and Savior. We lift him up to him because, Father, it is Jesus who saves. It is Jesus who suffered for us. And it is Jesus who sustains us because he did everything for us. So, Father, in the precious name above all names, that holy name, Yeshua, we thank you. Amen and amen and amen.
How about travel mercies for Petty and Arnold?
Oh, travel mercies for Petty and Arnold. They'll be going to both India and Israel. So let's remember to keep them in your prayers as you go to bed and talk to God. Stick around and have some dessert, have some more food. And Facebook, we're sorry you have to go, but we love you.